Good morning, Jules.
Morning, Dave. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Great. Just getting on all of my gear.
Great. Awesome. Awesome. So it's already posted and on. Um, it went faster than I expected. So here we go.
So we're live.
And
Amazing.
I believe I thought that Liz, is it Liz? Lise?
Lee's. I
I
think it's
can
Lee's. Yeah.
Lise. There it is. That she was going to be joining us. Brenda just said that she's not able to. Um, so we'll see. But how are things in your world?
Ooh, just 1 second here. Okay. Sorry. Go ahead.
No worries. I was just asking, how are things in your world?
Oh, well, it looks like it might rain, but it isn't raining
Oh,
yet. So I'll go out on a walk with everyone, take everyone for a walk.
okay.
I might lose you during a little part when it gets a little bit sketchy as I'm heading up the hill. But
Okay.
otherwise, things are good. Yeah, I would say the funniest part of my day is that I have a chicken with a broken leg, and
Oh,
and I didn't think
this
it was
really
going to
sounds
make
like
it.
it's the start of a joke.
Right? I wish I could throw a good one your way right now.
I have to think about that all day.
Yeah, exactly. You tell me when you come up with it and
All right.
post it below.
All right, I will. Anybody else that's joining us, or especially in the watching it later on, it's gotta be a good one. But poor chicken, but we're sending love and healing.
Well, the funny thing is, and because we're possibly waiting for Lise to still join us. The funny thing is I was like, okay, this chicken isn't doing so well. It's I could just let nature take its course and take it up into the woods, and you know, oftentimes we have foxes and raccoons and skunks that kill our chickens, and so I was like, okay, I'll let it be found and let nature take over. And 2 nights that chicken slept in the woods, and I just kept visiting it, and it's completely fine. I was like, of course, when you want nature to take over, it won't. And so I had to bring it back because I knew it was going to rain. I was like,
Oh,
oh yeah,
wow.
yeah. So I
There's gotta
laughed
be
at
some
myself.
pretty interesting metaphor there.
Right? Yeah. No. So I was like,
Huh.
okay, its name is Bob, even though it's a girl. Its name is Bob because one of my clients named it. Yeah. and uh and I'm sure that maybe she will live a long, happy life, and she just needed a fast in the woods, right? Like, who am
Right.
I to know? Obviously, I have
Right.
no control over it.
I love that. And really, I have a feeling that by the end of today, we're gonna have a really good joke because a girl chicken named Bob with a broken leg.
You can't make this stuff up, right?
Right. That's awesome.
So,
Hey, before we get started too, can you tell folks about, I happened to see yesterday your
mhm.
post about the hats and that you're selling to raise funds.
Yes, yeah. Well, I mean, we have a business called Cranial Waves, and we are lifestyle engineers in that regard. I know that's it's something that Dave is as well, right? So we're stepping into being able to help people from all over the world to step into their power and their potential. My husband, he is a coach as well, and he works with, he's still working on the, you know, wanting to be heart centered in a world where that's really challenging as to what that looks like. And I'm doing that as far as intuitive mentoring. I work with a lot of people, seemingly a lot of women. So that's probably more my target market. But our hats that we have made are Cranial Waves, which is the name of our business,
Yeah,
Cranial Waves Wellness.
I
And
love it.
if you can see there, we've got the ocean in the background. We're on the Bay of
Oh,
Fundy. And so the
Nice.
waves, we have the highest tides in the entire world. So
Really?
Cranial Waves Wellness. Yep, this is
Yeah.
where the highest tides are in the entire world, right behind us here.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's a
Oh,
$5
that's
off if you want a hat. It says Cranial Waves Wellness. You want to represent and support and yeah, sharing this beautiful love of transformational healing and the water. It's where it's at.
fantastic. Well, we will put that link in on the chat as well so that people can um, make sure that they get it and
Yeah,
help
that
with
would be
that. But it's just
it'd
really
be
cool.
amazing if everyone
Yeah.
had if do you know how sometimes a grocery store will have like special shopping bags, then people take pictures of the bags all over the world?
Yeah.
Could you imagine if you could have a
Oh,
hat and then people take pictures of the hat all over the world where the cranial waves are all over? That'd be fun.
yes. Oh, that's awesome. I love that idea. Yeah. So, everybody, when you get your hat, then make sure you take that picture and post it
Yeah.
in the group, and that'll go
Yes.
on theirs too. But we want to know where everybody's coming in from and see how many continents we can get to and how many different countries. So, oh,
That
that's a
would be so
mission. Let's
cool.
do that. I
Yeah,
love
yeah, that's a fun
it.
mission. I'll
That's
have to charge more
fantastic.
for the hats and have the money go towards some big charity and have it go worldwide. That would be super fun.
Ooh,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, I love that. Oh, I love it. For some reason, I just had somebody in my head that just popped in with having one on top of an elephant in Africa. I don't know why. I cannot wait for that to happen.
You know what? I'm gonna put one on top of Bob's head and send it to you,
Yes.
Dave.
Yes. That's my girl.
Your girl Bob, you got it.
I'm just gonna start every conversation with that or throw that in there. I was talking to my friend Bob. She said, people just like,
No
wait, what?
rules. She doesn't lay eggs, but she is a female chicken. But she only doesn't lay eggs because her leg's broken.
Oh, well, understandable because, who does?
Now, somebody who's a poultry expert is going to tell us that maybe there's something more wrong with Bob. And that would be great. If anybody has any chicken advice for me, I'm open to it.
Oh, I
Yeah.
don't know if you want to put that invitation out there. Um, I'm just seeing a whole lot of comedy coming your way. Well, hey, let's just hop right in and chat about what we're going to chat about today. How's that?
Sounds good. Yes.
Okay. So, you had suggested the topic that everybody was loving, and so have let's see, where did it go? Here we go. Feeding your fears or feeding your dreams. How do we override the programming of that whole doubt thing when it comes to, creeping into your head? So that was the topic that you wanted to bring forward today and chat about and get some tools and ideas and insights that can help folks. So back to you, Jules.
Yeah. Wow. Well, I mean, just as we are with coaches and healers, we're always learning in our own ways as well. And so, just as much a question that other people bring to me, it's a question I've been bringing to myself lately. In all of the limiting beliefs, all the programming, all the patterns that we all have alive inside of all of us. As I was reading this book by R.J. Spina, Superpower, I forget what it's, supercharge your health or something of that
Mm,
nature. People will be able to find it. But this man, he was able to recover from being a quadriplegic and
mm,
to walking by commanding his body, by bringing his awareness to, or just remembering that he is pure awareness, most importantly,
mm,
and by directing that consciously, repeatedly. And in that, he said something that was really helpful. And that was that the train of our awareness, when it's running smoothly, if it's just driven and fueled by our full awareness, is capable of creating anything. But the train of our doubt actually derails it and or brings the fuel to that doubt so that that train just can't keep going. And it was a really beautiful analogy of recognizing like how often, yes, we want to manifest something and we put attention and energy into that manifestation, but how many other trains we have going in the background that are telling us the doubtful story, so much that of course that's going to supersede that, like that, 5 minutes of intention or manifestation that you're trying to put out there. So I just thought I would bring that to all of our coaches, just to see all of the different perspectives, all of the different uh, approaches and experiences and experiments that we've all done as a collective, because I'm sure we've all practiced all of these different things. Yeah.
Yeah, as that seems like such an easy thing for a lot of folks. Like when you conceptualize it, like, oh, of course, I'm gonna just keep following that path. But the actual application of it, that's in the consistency, because
Hmm.
consistency is so, so important with that. And as a hypnotherapist, that's the thing that we work on. That's our wheelhouse. It's our jam, because it's changing those patterns that are the ones that are derailing. It's to identify each one of those so that we can then be the salesperson to the subconscious mind of why we want to adopt this new behavior, this new healthier way of operating.
I like that.
So
The salesperson. Hey, hey,
yeah,
hey, I've got something better for you over here.
that's exactly it. Really. That's my job. I have to be, that car salesman to the subconscious. I have to figure out how, why, and what, and hit all the points that it's gonna either give me any objections to, or but then also making sure I'm pushing forward all of the pleasure points so that we're making sure that we're in complete, like there's no way they're getting out of this sale and they're not going home with it.
I love this. This is
So
like conscious inner marketing.
yes, yes, absolutely. And that's it, is because if like for example, let's do smoking, for help folks to quit smoking. So my job then, as a therapist, is to I have to sell why they want to be a non-smoker more than changing the I just don't want to smoke anymore, because there's no reason yet that has stopped them. So now I've got to figure out how to, one, I got to push the pain point of why it's such a horrible thing and what it's doing to them and their environment, their people, all of those things, but then also selling it, that it is why it is so incredible of what is waiting for them when they become that non-smoker. And
Mhm.
that then, now that programming changes, so it's no longer derailing any of the thought patterns that they're having, why they began smoking anyway, or why it is their go-to, or why it's their coping strategy. And so bringing it back into, now they get to stay more in that going towards the dreams, because they want to be able to play with their kids outside, or the grandkids, and now they can breathe. They're not getting winded, and they don't have to sit down all the time because they're having so much fun with their kids, and they don't have to worry about all of these things. But so that's part of that selling to the subconscious of why they want to become a non-smoker.
Mm. Right. And it's kind of along the same lines as neuroplasticity, feedback loops and how those ruts get ingrained in our brain. And if we are
Hmm.
continuously doing the same thing over and over again, and the riverbed gets deeper and deeper and deeper, and that's the the highway that's
Yeah.
smoother paved. It's not having to break down things in the bushes like this, right?
Right. That's beautiful. Yes.
Yeah, yes. And that's it's so interesting because and I love that it's just, it's just us and all of us. I say that because a lot of people
Right, right.
watching this afterwards. Uh and that is that like intellectual play, and obviously having to, like you said, a salesman, you're working on the dopamine hits and the amygdala and the feelings, and all of these responses. And this man in the book was challenging and stretching my mind in the fact that he would continuously just go back to that I'm Jules, but who is Jules? And I, oh, well, actually, Jules identifies herself as a therapist, as a mom, as an author, all these different things. But who really is Jules? It's like, whoa, Jules is just really everything. Jules is the awareness of this body, of these roles, of these experiences, of this, ailments, physical pain, or roles in this world. But Jules is actually just everything, right? And she's experiencing it. And so that's the piece that he continuously brought the person back to, so that instead of adding on or trying to sell or market or throw perfume onto the poop, as I've heard
Right?
people say, right?
Yes.
And that's not what you're doing, but that idea is like to take it to that pureness of
Yeah.
everything that you already are, so that instead of trying to add anything on, you're just like, you're taking it down to naked. Right? Like,
Right.
here we are naked. And the most challenging part for that, with that for me, was that he would do it by commanding his body. And in my experience, I realized, as I started to recognize, like, I've got a lot of resistance towards the word command, because I'm all about, being friends with the body, or like befriending the ego and hearing it out, but also not letting it, sit in the driver's seat. He's like, no, 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 like, it should be in the back seat. It is a fractured part of yourself, and it does not, deserve to be in the driver's seat. That is your consciousness. That is where your awareness, that is where that place is. And I was like, oh, okay, everything this man is saying is resonating in all these other ways, but this commanding piece is like challenging. Yeah. So yeah, what do you feel about that? What's your first feel? Because yeah.
Ooh, it is. That's wow. I love that perspective. I mean, to really think about it. But the first thing for me, because I too, when I hear that command as you were talking about that, I did have that resistance. Like, what? Hmm. But then I hopped right into thinking of it through a command in a computer system. Because a command,
Yes.
it doesn't have any feelings with it. It's just a direction.
Yes.
And that's kind of what it is and because it doesn't talk back, it doesn't say, but I don't feel like it, or isn't that mean? It doesn't have any of that. It's just a direction. So command equals direction.
Yes. And that's like a clear, intentional direction. Makes perfect sense that you would want to give your body that.
Hmm.
Right? Yeah. Thank you for
Absolutely.
that reminder of the button, because that's helpful. Yeah.
Yeah, because that once I slip into that and use that example, I'm good with that. Like I have zero resistance in that part of it, and that's one of the ways that I usually give the examples to folks to make it more manageable in their head about the subconscious and conscious, mind in
Mm.
those programs, because the subconscious is what is running the show, whether we like it or not. And so if we don't change that, you're still going to default back to those settings. And so changing those settings, that default is exactly what we're doing. We're just, you write the new command and send. There's no whimpering. There's no nothing. Done. Okay.
Ooh, I like that. The command and send. Command and
Yes.
send. Well, and that's it. Like, and in general, and I'm sure you do this with hypnotherapy as well, is that knowing that, okay, I need to say it out loud. I need to tell other people that I care about it, or that I'm not talking to them about it because I'm focusing my attention over here, right? Um, and I need to believe that with my body. I need to move my body in that new belief system. I need to, whatever that command is, it
Mhm.
needs to it needs to be like blanketed over everything and take up, like you said, the word consistency, take up every part of my being with its attention.
Yes. Yeah,
Yes,
you
and that's what we do with doubt. We play with doubt like
Right.
that. We're always in doubt. We're playing with doubt constantly. It's like our favorite playmate. We just call on it endlessly.
Mhm. Yeah, that program needs to get uninstalled, I believe.
Yeah. So what's that one? If it's the command and what was that? Execute? No, it was command and enter. Well,
Send.
send, command and send. Okay. So what is that every time that default of the doubt or your favorite playmate that's super comfortable but isn't really a good influence on you.
Yeah,
What do you send to them?
well,
Which buttons do you push?
I was gonna say escape. It's the button, you
Quarter
know?
button.
It's the Y button escape, and it takes you back to the default. So it closes any new programs that just popped up, meaning the doubt that just popped up. No, we're closing that out. Escape, close it, and
Ah,
not the escapism, but escape as in going back to the default or closing that program because it just opened. Doubt just opened, as in like a window or a program. Escape, we're closing it
mhm.
out.
Right. And then as soon as you close it out, because I do love a good analogy, and I appreciate this computer analogy everybody can relate to. So as soon as the pop up, like, oh my goodness, like
Yep.
why are these porn ads coming up on my computer again? Right?
Yes, yes.
Escape. And
Escape.
then what the default actually is the actual trust and is the command that has already been executed. And so you can
Yeah.
be in that, but every time it comes up, you can push that little closing button or push the
Yeah.
escape button.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, I know that's a little bit different and not as concise or clean uh, definition because the escape, goes into, a little bit different places, but only in computer terms or keyboard terms, escape. Not that, and so it just closes it because the others are still, the default program's still running in the background. We're just not seeing it. It's not in front of our face at the moment. It's still there, and it might be muted because it's behind this window, that's open
Mhm.
on our screen. So when we do that escape, that top one closes, and now we are automatically front and center of the default program, which is the thing that we're choosing to be.
Right, which is the opposite of our usual default programming, because our normal default programming is the unconscious, right? But we've kind of tipped the scales to make the unconscious conscious, right?
Hmm.
To make the pop-up
Yeah.
window actually be the not the pop-up window of, "Hey, wouldn't it be awesome?" And then it's like, "Oh, no, let's go back to that old default of, like, doubt and
Right.
insecurity," and right? So it's almost, the consistency, like you said, of having to consistently build it so that the default is actually the trust, and then catching yourself when the programming of doubt comes up.
Hmm. Yeah. Um, Going back to, I think that it's important to chat about where that gentleman giving the command of his body and
Mm.
having that unconditional, like there's no negotiation. This is not a debate. This is not, up for a chat. This is the only way that we're operating from.
Mhm.
What for you has to change in your thinking, your belief structure for you to give yourself permission to know you have that much power.
Yes, therein lies the biggest question, right? And for myself, and we'll just pretend this is a private therapy session that lots of people are watching, which
Right.
I'm sure everybody can relate to because we're all human, so we all have this inside of us. There was a part of me that was like, who am I to be able to command that degree of awesomeness, right?
Yeah.
Like when I fully broke it apart and I was like, command, that feels so authoritative and demanding. And I was like, wait a second. Of all things, if I am awareness and I am pure consciousness, just having a human experience to notice or to have relationship with this environment to give to the bigger picture of expansion, then of course this is a divine command, and I'm just like taking this energy and divinely commanding it. So it's actually the part of me that doesn't feel like I'm good enough. I'm not worthy enough. I'm not. I haven't met the expectations or the accreditations or whatever it is I feel like I need in order to stand in that level of authority to be the commander, right? So it's it's the separation when you say it. Like I think about it, it's the separation of me thinking that I am separate from the divine, from God, from the universe, from consciousness, that is stopping me from actually stepping into my own power to command my being, which is why he gets everyone to find that place like, well, who's feeling this? Well, I am. Okay, who are you? It's like, oh, right, I am everything. Oh, okay. Because once there isn't a separation, then it's possible. But when there's separation, there's like the potential for all of the drama and, you know, the sales and all of the like stories and all the things that otherwise have to come up, right?
Mhm.
It's like we make things so damn complicated, and we really
Yeah.
just have to come back to simple.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. I it is. I think that I think a lot of folks do that. Throw in as many things as they can to validate why they're not choosing to take that command of their spirit, their body, their everything. And as you were talking about, as you're walking through what that was feeling like for you, and who are you to summon that courage and power, it was it was reminding me of, who's in the driving seat. It's your bus, so are you just gonna let the road do the driving, or are you actually gonna get your butt in there because you're supposed to? And like,
Right?
who am I? I'm like, should I be driving the bus? Well, somebody damn should. Someone is. So you might want to do that.
Yeah, it's almost like passively in some part of my being, and I know this to be true in a lot of people, it's like somebody else is looking after us, whether it's the government's going to make a good decision or my parents going to be the one to make a good decision or um, you know, the universe will look after me. Even that, it's like there's still some sort of expectation that it's separate from us,
Yeah.
and it's in that separation we're losing the power, versus as soon as we're one with that, there isn't any resistance to it. But we forget to be one with that because we built ourselves so many extra layers to lean into in our persona and our expectations. And I had a client the other day, you'll laugh at this one because again, analogies, they're so beautiful in picture form. She said, Jules, in my 6 month coaching program, she said, every time we connect, I imagine me taking off another layer of clothing. And by the end of the 6 months, I feel like I'll be naked. And I was
Nice.
like, yeah, because we're not adding to anything. We're
Mm,
actually stripping away
yeah.
layers to what was already there. It was such a beautiful analogy. I was like, thank you for that.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. And yes,
Absolutely.
that's ideally what we're all doing is we're stripping down all the stuff, right? There's a lot of
Absolutely.
layers.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's great. It is. It actually is beautiful. And I think that that's the first place that people should feel that they go to, is that it is absolutely beautiful to be in that space.
Mhm.
Ah, gorgeous. Yes.
But we're not trained to go in, right? Like it's against our like social programming to go in, and it's towards our social programming to doubt. We've been taught to doubt, like even the marketing, like that's a doubt. You find their pain and you find their desire and you try to recognize like what's obstructing them from making the decision, but it's all in that same paradigm. That's how our brain works, and we've been programmed to doubt and to feed on doubt or to decipher where the doubt is and to either prey on it and or pray against it. But there's always a polarity to it versus the beingness is just being.
Hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, that's even shunned upon, I think, is to how dare you?
Yes, shame, shame upon you.
You're gonna go against your
Yes,
tribe or your family, your, whatever society, your street, your neighbors, whatever that is. Like, how dare you?
right.
And they're
And then
gonna
you doubt
question that.
yourself.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And that was goal achieved, for those masses. Right. Shame for the win.
It is. You look at religion, any religion really that was built on power and attaining power, and that they did that really well. It's all about shaming people and guilting them and keeping them in a state of control.
Mhm.
And it doesn't mean there weren't lots of amazing, amazing parts of it, but it was that containment unit, the difference between a philosophy and a religion. I've
Mhm.
heard somebody say that is a religion. There's a containment of power that it just by nature of it being a masculine, feminine, you know, not masculine, feminine, but more masculine driven, there needed to be a power dynamic of some sort. That's how our world has run for a long time. It's not good or bad. It's just the way that it was.
Mhm. Right. Yeah,
Mhm.
and the new the new agers, or whatever we want to call up and coming light workers, and they're the ones that are now getting in the driving seat and realizing, like, they might have better directions than somebody they've
Command.
never met. And so, yeah, I got this. So getting in that driving seat and doing, yes, absolutely, the commands. I would like to know. Mm-mm. It's kind of like ooh, that's a weird analogy too, of handing over your GPS to get it programmed by your tribe.
Ooh, ooh,
Yeah, that just like came out. I was like, ooh,
ooh, that's
because
a good one.
I mean, they're programming it to do only their route, and how they want you to get there, even though there's a thousand different ways that you can choose to do that. And
Mm,
GPS is not supposed to be a command; it's a suggestion when
right.
we're using it. So remembering that, and that's really important. Ooh, okay, here we go. This just popped in. So looking at from a medical perspective, because somebody has a white coat on and they tell you that you've got this disease process happening as a diagnosis, now they're going to hand you their GPS and how they think you should navigate your healing. Usually not healing, it's management of your symptoms. But and God forbid it actually could be a healing that you don't need them anymore because you're not coming back to update your GPS. Wow.
I love that, Dave. I can feel it coming alive in you as you share it too, which is always fun to be a part of a novel experience like this.
That is so fun. Oh, because I'm always telling folks that, working in the healing arts, that the doctors are going to give you their best guess, and what they know from studies and things has nothing to do with what's happening to you. There's some likelihood, and there are ways that it's gone before for other things and other people. It's still
Patterns.
not
Yep.
your story. It's not your truth when they give it to you or tell you these are the things that I recommend. You take that in, run it through your circuits to figure out if any of that resonates with you. Is part of that, all of that, none of that your truth? If they tell you you have
Mm.
6 months to live, is that your truth? If not, well, okay, then we probably need to get another opinion, or we need to find another update for this GPS because that is not the way that I'm getting there.
Right? Like there's something wrong with this GPS. You know what? I think I need a new GPS.
Yes,
Oh, wait a second. Maybe
exactly.
I don't need a GPS at all. Maybe it's inside of me. Right. And I was working with somebody just the other day, and there was a moment where we got to the root of the pattern that was like occurring inside of her. And I said, just a second, what was that you just said? And she said, well, when I was a kid, I was told that I was to do unto others as I'd have them do unto me. And then when I let this person come and live with me, it was against all of my instincts and intuition. My intuition was screaming at me to not let this person come and live with me. But all I could hear was that voice in my head, do unto others as you'd have them do unto you. And I knew that that was right. And I said, just a second, just a second. You've got two programs running at the same time. So
Mhm.
your intuition was screaming at you. And for me, intuition, when it screams, especially when you have a relationship with it and it screams, there's something important to note there. But then
Absolutely.
there was this other really loud voice. I said, we just need to notice, like, what was the other loud voice? Where was it coming from? And she said, that was like what I was grown up to and raised to believe was true and real and important. And I said, okay. I said, I'm not saying it's not, but um, which one is most integral and important for you? And she was like, oh, she said, I always let that story and that voice make me second guess my intuition and my heart. There's the GPS signal saying, turn right here, turn right
Yeah.
here, turn right here, right? You missed your
Yes.
turn. Turn around, turn around.
Exactly, yes. Right. But you know, it's really fun. I love doing this because I know I do use GPS all the time. And but what I still do is most times it's because I want like the traffic updates and that kind of thing. I usually know how to get where I'm going. Um, and so I'm still going to do the route I'm going to do, and I just keep going. It doesn't tell me, when it starts doing the whole you missed
U-turn.
your turn. The wonderful thing is, I'm like, I'm just gonna wait for it. I just know it's gonna figure out that I didn't do it. Then it says recalibrating, rerouting. It says that a
Yes.
lot in my vehicle because I'm just doing my own thing anyway. I'm like, you need to catch up because I'm still driving here.
But
It,
that's it. You're in command of your vehicle. And instead
exactly.
of going, oh my God, I made a wrong turn, going, oh, well, the GPS, it's super smart and it's going to recalibrate and it's going to catch up to my divine awareness and potential because I know what's happening first.
Yeah. And you know, giving grace and gratitude to the folks that gave you the original GPS. It was with the highest and greatest of intent. But they were operating
Of
from where
course.
they were. So, like the client that you had, her family, or whoever taught her that key principle, it's a good one
Right?
to
Yeah.
learn. And so when she didn't have a way to discern and learn as growing, then we do need to have some of that direction, and that was appropriate then. And
Mhm.
now that we're becoming more, and that you didn't have your driver's license then, so now I am. So now I need to figure out, am I following their GPS system? Because there's some updates that need to that need to happen. And oh, by the way, when you do the update, you're actually sitting in the driving seat. No longer is it your tribe. Doesn't mean it's wrong their stuff is wrong, but is it the truth for you? Because you still might go the same way that they do in many different places, and
Mhm.
destinations. However, you still get to drive and choose how you get there as well.
I love the update piece because sometimes we think the original programming is the same and nothing, you what we know about life, nothing stays the same. Change is the only thing that's constant. So if we're not updating the GPS, if we're not updating the original like operating system, then we're not honoring the growth and evolution of ourselves, but also, that we're inviting our next generation into.
Hmm. Yeah, and I think that's the part that a lot of folks kind of skip over or don't realize that they need to make sure that that's what they're doing, as they're navigating their life. Is if you're going to operate, so to make this absolutely ridiculous, but on
Let's
point
take it
is
all the way there.
if if we were to think of back in, when they were um settling the our countries, so it was the
Colonizing.
wilderness
Yep.
still. Yeah. And so that GPS system, of course, it didn't happen then. It was maps or whatever on rawhide or something. But it would tell you if you want to get to California, you want to get to Vancouver, is, you're going to have to take a train from here to there and whatever that route is. Because those are the only way you're getting there unless you're going to take a wagon. And hey, by the way, we've got a lot of roads and freeways now. Oh, and we can fly. And you're limiting any and all of those things because you haven't done the update. So it's not the Oregon Trail. You need to up that some outdated shit. You need to move on. Unless that's an experience you're wanting, then by all means.
Well, and I love too that oh, one of our good friends is coming down the road. I'm going to have to go soon. Um, but one of the things that's super important is to recognize that, like, I live in a shipbuilding community. So in the 1700s, people were building the tallest ships in the world here. There were
Wow.
6 different places that built ships here, and in the shipbuilding, it was most powerful. Okay, you know what? I'm
Yeah.
gonna have to take a break because there's a dog coming, and I just have to put her on a leash. Okay,
Okay.
you go ahead and
Okay. I think it's super important for us to really identify and come back to that thought process of doing some evaluation of our operating systems, of how and when was the last time that we updated our GPS system. So looking at what is navigating your day to day, what's navigating your life changes, and even sometimes more appropriately too, looking at what is navigating or what system is actually navigating for you how you are managing crisis, how you are, what are those coping strategies, and are they working now? Um, and if it isn't, then we need to upgrade that. So that's super important. I think that we get to have Jules back. Welcome back.
my apologies. That is a
Good.
dog that my dog has the biggest crush on, and
Aw.
every time she smells him on the trail, she whimpers. And so to see
Oh.
him in real life was like, so yeah, exactly.
Huh. Well, let's keep moving.
Yeah, small interlude of that, yes, but needed to make sure. So what I was saying earlier is that these shipbuilders, I just went to the museum that's in our small village here, and these shipbuilders, they built ships that traveled all over the world in the 1700s. All of these ships came from St. Martin's and went to New Zealand, went to Burma, went to, like, everywhere. I was like, this is phenomenal. So even way back when we were growing, we were expanding, we were exploring, from those early days. But like you said, if we haven't updated, like, it takes you a year on a ship to get, like,
Right.
from one place to the next. Like, we have exponentially grown since then. So our updates are happening quicker and quicker and quicker and quicker. So I think what we forget is that our doubts, as we're growing, our doubts are going to start popping up even faster as well. So
Mm.
even for us who have done a lot of updating, um, we're actually going to have to keep updating even more because we're, like, streamlining and pioneers. There we go, in the
Yeah.
pioneering sense. Um, we're pioneering it, but at the same time, everybody's upping their level of consciousness at the same time, and so all of the doubts that are alive in the system, all of the GPS updates are just like it's going to be happening a couple of times a day, let alone what it used to be like once a week, right? So this is happening fast, and the doubts are going to be streaming in because the doubts
Mhm.
are just the old programming that is
Mhm.
ready for an update.
Yeah. Two things. There's that I want. One, first one, but I don't want to lose this one spot. So I want to come back to the the pioneering aspect. So first one, jumping back into the place that you're at. So they have the tallest tides or the highest tides in the world, and they are
Yeah.
making the tallest ships. So talk to me about what that's all about. Why is it so? It seems like it's that geographical location is the height of everything. What's that all about? I'm loving this metaphor here.
Oh, I have not let it play out before, so let's play with it a little bit. So you were talking about colonization, and way back when, this was where all of the ships were built for all of the colonialization of this was Eastern Canada, but throughout the world, and so all the tall ships were built here, and the biggest movement of tides in the world, yeah. So I guess like the biggest, tallest, almost contraction and expansion of the earth. When you look at how tides work, it kind of
Mm,
squeezes the earth, right? The moon creates this
mm,
squeeze on the earth, and the tide is the most intense during the no moon, like the new moon, and the
yeah.
full moon, right? And so, yeah, I guess it's that polarity, or that intentionality of the contrast. Yeah.
Well, in thinking about if I were shopping for a tall ship, I would probably want to have one that can withstand everything there. If they can do those tides and be fine, and that's where they make them to navigate that, the rest is cake.
If it can hang out on the earth, on the ocean floor, and be
Yeah.
super high, because that's it. They have like boxes set up so that when the tide goes down, it like lands in a rut so that it's supported on the ocean floor, because when the ocean comes back up, it
Mhm.
goes back up, right?
Yeah.
It's
Those are so
magical to
fun.
watch.
Oh, we need a video. I want to see that, like a time lapse. That would be awesome.
Yeah, yeah, I'm sure we could find you one.
That would be great.
But the
And with that,
pioneers, yes.
it's really because to me that would be the whole marketing piece of it. Like we build them because we know we've got these huge, not gaps, but adaptability. Ooh, there it is. Of what's happening on the planet, right? So if that boat has been made where the most extremes from, the highs to the lows, we know what those are. So now we can handle whatever seas and tides that you might have, everywhere else, because this is the pinnacle of highs and lows. So we got this. I want to do their marketing for some reason. I- Anybody still buying tall ships? I don't know.
They don't make them anymore. This was the 1700s. So just museums left over, unfortunately, Dave. You'll have to travel back in time to market the tall ships.
Okay, putting it on the calendar. It's really funny is we actually have a parade of the tall ships here, where I live. They come up through Detroit, and they come up through the St. Lawrence Seaway, and they come
Right.
through, so we get to see them. And it's literally like just if you can meet them, and a lot of people do this, they'll meet them all as they're coming up through Lake St. Clair, and they travel up to Lake Huron. And so being
Mm.
out on a boat with them, it is just like you're just stepping back into time. So I mean, if you just happen to look up and there's this tall ship, and it's really incredible to see, and then you're in the water with them, on a boat. It is a magical experience. Um,
Yeah, I can only imagine traveling around the world on a tall ship, how
mm,
that experience would have been traveling back in time. I'm sure they
we
had doubt back then too.
uh, yeah, well, and that's kind of what I was thinking about with the whole pioneering aspect of it, is that if if in our culture now we're trying to update. Yeah, that's what it was. So if we're updating all the time, constantly updating, because we are at such a faster pace than that was back then, so we're updating all the time, but we're updating to something that has already happened or occurred. For them to have the protocol to update the GPS, that means that it's something that has already somebody's already traveled it, and so they know this is the best route. uh, in their experience. But if you're not, if you're only going to give yourself the updates and not allow off-roading to travel on your own without that GPS and map your own, then you're only going to have the results that other people have had instead of getting into that really deep space of knowing that I am the divine. I have that divine spark. And now what path am I going to start making for me because I do have all of that power. And let's start changing my own GPS and other people can follow that. That's what the pioneers did.
Mm. Yes, and when you think about, and I always like to take it to that next level of quantum, which I know you love to
Mm,
play in as well, is if time isn't linear, which we all, know it to be, and even quantum science is like proven it now, then all of the future versions of ourselves already exist and know what's going to happen. Just as much as that we know the past, we can know the future. And so, really, it's just recalibrating our GPS to this node in time that we also can like stream back and forth whenever we want to as well. So, yeah, by tuning in or updating your GPS, and of course, we're using a really rudimentary,
right.
system when it comes to, the analogy, but for the sake of the analogy, um, that this GPS, if it was multidimensional and conscious, um, that we're just allowing our navigational system to be alive with us instead of being separate from us. Just like God, just like universe, just like, consciousness, awareness, like it's the oh yeah, and even this compass, even this navigational system, this GPS, global positioning system, is alive within us and we're not separate from it. And back in command.
Yes. Oh, well done. Well done.
You gotta love it, right? It all comes
That's
back to
awesome.
center. Even the
Yes.
stories.
Oh, that's awesome. That's fantastic. I love it. I love it. So, with the client, two things. With the client that you had, that was having that new realization about that old programming and stuff. Now, what is it that that client is now putting in place to navigate next?
I am glad that you asked, because for her, it was a mantra. So it was like a saying that was not counter to the old programming, but uh, update. It was the update to the new program. So instead of the old program playing over, it's the new programming louder and more consistent as a reminder in the command, in the command room, right? So for her, that was it. It was a repeat pattern of what she really knows to be true about her. Because, like you said, it's not that the old pattern that was anything, or the old belief system or structure wasn't okay. That's a scaffolding that was important while she was growing, right? It's like
Right.
what's that uh oh, Forrest Gump, where he's running and the braces are on his knees and his legs, and needed them for a little while until he remembered, hey, I can run. Like, wow. And then like the braces and the brackets all fly off and the screws, and he's like, yeah, I can do this, right? So
Yes.
it's time for the brackets to fly off, and it's time to streamline what is going to be in command now that the brackets are gone. That's all. Right. So it's not a
Mhm.
this was right and this is wrong, or I can't believe you believe that, or anything like that. It's like this is what you know to be true because this is what your body told you, not never me, just like holding space for that innate, wisdom of and awareness to come through.
Right.
And then you're going to keep repeating this, and I'm going to remind you to keep repeating this, right? And if it was a coaching client, it's like I'm going to send you reminders of that thing and check in and see how it's doing.
Hmm.
um, but that's what she has now in the system, so that the updates are happening all the time, if we were to use that analogy. and
Hmm.
um, and that's going to be the practice, because that's also why it was coming up in her world. It wasn't so it could get like beaten down, and because she was to be victimized, or fall into old patterns. It was like, this is alive inside of you and it's coming to the forefront because it wants to grow and it wants you to grow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Ah,
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah. We think it's self sabotage, but it's actually like we're outgrowing the old planter box and we just need to be transplanted into something a little bit bigger because we're just growing.
Absolutely. Yeah. Speaking of growing,
Yes.
with you, let's coming back to the first part of what we are talking about, you hearing or reading, from the gentleman about taking that command. For you, what was it that changed in your protocol or GPS systems? How did you update it with that new information of taking command and really getting all that static out of the way of the
Mm.
doubt for you? What did you do to change that?
I can honestly say I'm still in the process. I mean,
Yeah, okay.
we're always still in the process.
Sure.
But for me, I'm listening to the book now, and I also, funny enough, my mom said, "Oh, I just ordered you a book. It's really great. It's going to be there in a couple of days." It's the same book, of course, right? It's like,
Nice.
of course it is. Thank you, mom.
Of
Yeah,
course.
we're on the same page. Yeah. So I'm still listening to it. I'm letting it soak into my brain because it's still new. And I have, like, I'm a projector when it comes to human design. So I kind of need to take things in different ways. I need to feel them out. Um, and I need to practice them in real life. And I
Yeah.
haven't had the opportunity to be able to practice it. And project it and have it bounce back. That's how I roll. But the parts that I have integrated or started to integrate um, feel really potent in the fact that I feel like I can dream and that the dreaming doesn't have to be separate. And I don't know how else to describe it, but it's
Mm.
almost like it felt like before um, the thing that I wanted was something that I had to work for versus I actually just have to step out of the way and allow it to come through me and just notice what isn't coming through me and be there with that. And so I've been dreaming more, but I can't say that I'm probably only like five percent into the process of living it fully. Like this man um, uh, told everybody that he actually didn't want to talk to them in a very beautiful way, and that he was going to spend the next 100 days just focusing fully and completely on healing his body so he could walk again. And so, like, just that whole story of going, oh yeah, like it takes a lot of energy and attention to step into that degree, but even just a little bit, I kind of need I need to keep let it percolating in me. So
Hmm.
so yeah, no answer except for the continually processing
Hmm.
answer. Yeah, but I'm sure you for you, like maybe you have something to share about how it's how it plays out in you when self-doubt comes up, because I'm sure it's helpful for other people to hear your experience too.
I usually, when I'm learning a new concept or something is presented in book form or any of that, it's the same for me. First, I need to listen to the whole book first, because I'm like, I'm gonna question and process too much most of the time, and and I wanted to like get into it. Um, Patience was not something that was installed from the beginning for me, so I'm like, let's do this. Um, but then I want to see that all the way through first, and so I will force myself to make sure I get to see the whole process, and then I'll jump back in, and then start looking at it to apply it. And that then, if I know where we're going, that'll help me have less resistance of just trusting the process. I usually have lots of resistance when it comes to just that. Like, you're gonna have to do a little bit better. I'm gonna need the whole brochure first, then okay, then I'll hop in. Um, and that self-doubt for me is I'll mute it pretty quick. I'll hit the mute button. when it pops up, because then if I just hit the mute button, it can still play out for a minute until I decide what actually is real and where is it coming from. Is this my truth or is this someone else's truth? Almost always is the first question that I'm always asking myself when doubt pops up. When doubt, I have to run it through that filter of, is this mine or was this something that I've learned along the way from something or someone else? And is it still true today? Once I make that determination, then I can unmute it and go, oh, yeah, you don't belong here. You need to, we're hitting the escape button. Close it. Nope. Bye.
Mm.
Um, I do my best at doing that in real time.
Yes, and oftentimes we can't do it in real time. We can do it afterwards. It never hurts, right?
Right, absolutely. Yeah, and to me, because I think that's how we all start, is that it's usually after something has happened and we're doing the processing of it, and then we're like, oh, yeah, well, if we did that instead, uh, yeah, sure, that's great because you're not driving in the moment of that, so now stepping that up and holding myself accountable to make those real-time adjustments, that course correction, is that's the standard that I do strive in day to day, so that I am
Mhm.
looking at, nope, that is not the train I'm on. So, ta-da.
Yes. And that I think that that first step, like you said, is deciding, is this really mine? Is this theirs? Or in this situation where I'm learning how to say, oh, uh, that's a part of Jules or the persona of Jules or the story or the role that Jules thinks she's supposed to fit. Um, Now, when we step into being pure consciousness and we can see that from a distance, oh, okay, that's different, and not from a distance, but from the inside, right? Um, it's so much more potent. Take a step back or take a step in, whatever feels right, or whatever works best in the description of it. To just go, oh, wait a second, this isn't happening to me. This is showing me something, right? I'm the observer. I've always been the observer. What is this showing me? Instead of taking it personally, instead of like oh my gosh, a personal insult, or this is a rejection of me, or I'm not good enough, or all those things that we naturally go to because we've been trained into it. Just step back into that reminder that we just are. We just
Mhm.
are. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Anyways, as I come back to my place here, I will show you Bob because
Yay.
yeah, feels most important that we start where we end where we started.
I love it. Love it. Love it. Love it.
If I can, here we go. There's Bob with the broken leg.
Oh,
And my dog
hi,
gets really
Bob.
excited about Bob. Here
You got this, Bob.
you go, Bob. We were talking about you earlier. Now everybody knows who you are.
You
Warrior,
got this, Bob.
warrior, warrior chicken Bob. Female warrior princess.
I love it. Oh, thank you
Yes.
so much, Jewel, for joining us and bringing Bob into our lives. Uh,
Anyways.
and oh,
The
look at all those.
jokes will be coming soon. I can feel it.
Yes, awesome. All right, everyone, we are about to close for today in the chat, and I'll make sure that I have it on the Facebook um, spot on there also, so that you can go and grab your hat for Cranial Waves, so that we can get some pictures all over the planet of where that we're taking this journey to, and sending that healing vibes for everyone. I love that. So awesome. I can't wait to see all of these pictures. But please, the link is already there, and I'll make sure that I have it posted on a few other places. So those folks that are listening and watching in the after show of it, please let us know what you think and feel in the comments. Make sure that you're letting us know some of the aha moments. And if you want to hear more of any of those topics, that would be a great thing to know too, is hey, can we do a deeper dive in any of this stuff? Because we just did a whole lot of different things that we bounced in and out of. So that was really awesome. That there's so many of those key points that we could just do shows on, or have some chats on. So anyway, I really appreciate you spending the time with us, Jules. Thank you so much for spending that time. And I hope that you have a wonderful weekend ahead. We've got a holiday weekend here in the States coming up, so
Oh,
exciting.
nice. Okay,
Uh,
well, I would love to send my love to everyone, and thank you, Dave, for the immersive learning experience because I know that we both had our own aha moments just in sharing and learning and growing together. There's something magical about coming on as mentors and not offering answers or solutions, but actually just having a great conversation where we can just share, and in the sharing do
yeah,
all those things while we learn
good.
together.
I love that.
Love
Yes,
it.
absolutely. Good stuff. All right. Well, thank you so much. You take care. Namaste.
Bye, guys.